here in a short bit. Last topic is, again, Floyd Mayweather is in retirement, but his name keeps being brought up here and there. He made some comments about Gennady Golovkin coming down the weight, saying that he needs to come down to 155 and face Saul Canelo Alvarez. Poisoning the fighters of disrespecting the belts, the weight division. Is he helping these guys establish themselves in a proper weight, or is he helping them come into this fashion of, you know what, you could do whatever you want because you have a fan base now? Is he hurting them or helping them more, in your guys' opinion? Gabriel, I'll go with you, Gabe. What do you think? Is this hurting fighters and hurting the sport by him continually kind of peekabooing into the sport here and there whenever he gets a chance?
No, I mean, I think it's just, it's what people do instead of asking good questions, and writing detailed stories. They cover a guy that, he's a promoter. He had his fight last night, so you're going to get a bunch of, flash quotes, things Floyd said. But if you've ever interviewed Floyd, and he's very contradictory. He says shit to say shit. He's kind of like Trump in that regard. He's planting seeds at other times. And so it's just, I don't think it affects the sport. Or Tom Lawford doesn't give a shit what Floyd thinks. And certainly Oscar De La Hoya doesn't either. And those are the only people that really matter, that and the fighters when it gets down to it.
Yeah, it's not surprising to see Mayweather take, this perspective on Canelo A side, so Gennady should come down. If you want something, you got to do something. I mean, that's kind of what a lot of his career was based on him being the A side and getting the fighters to make concessions to fight him. But I think it's just like, once again, it's a completely different scenario, completely different situation. I mean, Canelo is the A side, and I think if it was a non-title fight between him and Golovkin, if Canelo dropped the belt or was stripped of it 3 years down the line, they want to meet, then yeah, weight's negotiable. What they want to get money-wise, it's negotiable. But as of now, like A side, it doesn't matter. It's a mandatory. So that's the difference in this situation. So as far as
good point.
Mayweather's comments, yeah, he's Canelo's A side, but once again, it's not A side as in Mayweather A side. It's your A side, but Golovkin's your mandatory. So all the things that you want to put, all the concessions you want Golovkin to make, it's not viable. It's not. It can just go.
Excellent point. Excellent point. Even down to purse, I think. There's certain restrictions.
I need to go on a rant. First of all, let me say, I agree with everybody. Great points so far. Gabe, your comparison to Donald Trump was perfect. Floyd is just the Donald Trump of boxing. He's just a populist who goes with whatever the freaking polls are saying. But
personally, I think
first of all,
strong, but yeah,
this interview was on a site that is basically a soundboard for Floyd, right?
Right.
They basically bring Floyd on there. I won't mention the guy's name who brings him on there all the time, and Floyd just talks shit. And, it's just whatever way the wind's blowing that week, that's what Floyd says. But here's why Floyd brought all this up. It's to save face with the fact that he fought Canelo when Canelo was 23 years old, was not ready for the fight. He plucked him while he was still basically a prospect. At that point, Canelo had fought one top fighter in his prime, Austin Trout, and barely scraped by. I scored that fight a draw on points. I thought the knockdown was the only way Canelo won it. And on top of all that, he drained Canelo 2 pounds. I believe that fight was at 152. It was at a catch weight.
Right.
So this is a way for Floyd to not only save face with all the bullshit he pulled with Canelo, but to make it look like Canelo is this big, bad monster. And by the way, this whole notion that Canelo is this giant, massive middleweight was created by Floyd when he, plucked him to fight him at that time. Canelo is a very stout, stocky guy, but he's maybe 5'8", tops. He's not a massive. A big heavyweight is Peter Quillen or Danny Jacobs, right? Those are big middleweights. Canelo's not.
Agreed. Yeah, I can vouch for that. I'm taller than Canelo, and I'm 5'8 3/4.
There you go. Every time I meet Canelo, I'm like, this guy's a middleweight?
What's that?
every time I meet Canelo, I'm thinking, man, this guy's a middleweight. You know, that's my first thought, because when you meet a guy like Peter Quillen, he's a big dude.
And the 175 that is attributed to Canelo on Fight Night is an unofficial weight. HBO has done so much to kind of change the conversation or skew it with their punch stats that aren't necessarily accurate, in my opinion. It's guys punching a button every time a punch is thrown. It's just ridiculous to me. But with the unofficial weight, we don't see that weigh-in, so we don't know what they're wearing. Some guys are fully clothed. So that 175 could be that. What's that?
I question that myself, because, you know, if they could fudge the height, and they've done this, you know, numerous times, you know. You know, once to say that they're not fudging, they're not, you know, nudging a little bit here, saying, yeah, just say it's 5 more pounds, you know, so that we can believe that he's a big guy, he can jump up, you know. But I agree with you, Mike. I mean, the thing is here, too, I think that what Floyd tries to pit out there is this is a guy that most fans wanted to see Floyd step in the ring with. So how do you discredit him by getting him a loss, by getting a guy that he beat the man, so that he could sit back and say with his fans and May hype, see, this is why we didn't want to fight him, because we could have beat him. What's the point? That's always been their pitch, and it's always been.
That's why they had such a hard-on for Andre Ward, who's a light heavyweight who hasn't fought at super middleweight in years, and they've had such a hard-on for Gennady to fight him because Abel Sanchez talked about it years ago when they were trying to build a brand with Golovkin here in the United States when he was an unknown. What amazes me is that people can't see through this shit. It's like people can't tell already that Floyd's going to fight Danny Garcia next. I mean, people can't see that being shaped up already.
Yeah, he made that announcement.
It's so obvious. Everything this guy does is so calculated, but his blindingly loyal fans, it's like a cult. It's like Donald Trump. It's the perfect comparison. He needs to get an orange wig and put that shit on, and it'd be perfect.
You know, you can really see that. Now that I'm thinking about it, like when you go back and you hear Mayweather's comments on Canelo Khan, and he was talking, I think it was when he was in England or something, and he was like, you know, Khan can think he can beat Canelo because he saw what I did to Canelo, but it's not that easy. Canelo is super strong, he's super big, and then when he talks about Triple G and Gennady, well, Triple G should come down to 155 and fight Canelo because Canelo's the A side. You just see how Floyd, when he's talking about Canelo, it's obvious he's trying to protect Canelo's legacy in a way, because in a sense it kind of protects Floyd's, because it doesn't make Floyd look good if Canelo gets beat by Khan or if Canelo gets destroyed by Golovkin.
Well, how about that catchweight when Floyd fought Marquez, and that was supposed to be at a catchweight, and Floyd didn't even try to make the catchweight.
He paid out.
I covered that the press conference announcing that, and I remember asking Eric Gomez of Golden Boy, who was kind of handling the fight, and I said, "What's the weight?" You know, it was 144, give or take a pound. What do you mean, give or take a pound? It's 144, give or take a pound. All right, that's weird. I walk over to Leonard Ellaby. What's the weight? You know, I heard it was Eric Gomez said 144, give or take a pound, and Ellaby goes, it's a welterweight fight. I'm like, well, what's the weight? It's a welterweight fight. And then, you know, I asked him again, and it's a welterweight fight. So nobody knows. And then the week of the fight, Floyd paid $900,000 to change it, the weight, change the contract, and change the agreement up to, I think, 146 is what he ended up moving it up to. Yeah.
Wow. There you go. I guess when you're the A side, you can pull shit like that.
It's also positioning. It's just like he's playing the mastermind and saying, this is what the top guys should be doing because I'm the ultimate top guy, and what I said goes. First interview I ever did with him was for the Hatton fight, and he declared himself, he came out in a money green 3-piece suit at Universal Studios and declared himself the president of boxing. What I say goes. And that's the whole thing. That's the whole money persona. And that's really all this is. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw the card last night, but it's just pretty funny. He just made a deal with Eddie Hearn to go and do fights over there, pitting his guys against their guys, which is a great deal for Eddie after everything we saw.
Yeah. You know, there's a bunch of British boxers right now that are very happy about that deal.
Oh, yeah. But it's also why he's putting himself in the conversation with Canelo and with Golovkin. They're the top guys, and as long as he's also in that conversation. He's one of the top guys, whether fighting or not.
I also see it as this is a guy that doesn't want to retire. I remember we talked about this, Gabriel, and even the ring when he did announce his retirement after Berto. It was, to me, this is his way of falling out of the sport for a short period of time, allow the top guys to get some wear and tear, and then he comes back. He's flirting with it, announcing that if I was to fight Danny Garcia, it would shut down Khan and Canelo talks. You know, who would you rather see, Khan and Canelo or me and Danny Garcia, two undefeated fighters? It's his way of making sure that he's always still involved. You know, he's always picking at and flirting with the fact that, you know what, I have to keep the interest for the fans. I can't let this kind of disperse and fade away. I have to be in that center, just not as a promoter, but also as a fighter. I just don't see this guy going away.
That's a good
David,
question.
He's done this. I'm sorry, Gabe. I was just going to say real quick, Floyd's done this before. He walked away, I want to say it was 2008, so that Margarito and Cotto could wear each other out, right?
Exactly.
And he waited out Manny Pacquiao. This is what the guy does. It's a pattern. And if you love Floyd, if you're part of that cult, then you just look the other way, and this is just him doing business. He's being a smart businessman. Everybody else that's objective, it's not being a hater. It's just being objective. It's like, look, man, there's somebody saying stupid shit, and I'm just not going to blindly believe it. That's why Donald Trump was a great comparison, Gabe. I got to give you props for that, man.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
So let me ask y'all about this, okay? So I think most of us are in agreement that Floyd Mayweather is probably not retiring, and why you're saying Floyd Mayweather, he craves that attention, he craves that fame. That's why he constantly wants his name in the media. That's why he comes out and says these things. But okay, so say he doesn't come back for Canelo Khan. It's a big fight, but let's say Canelo gets past Khan, and then Canelo and Gennady Golovkin happen. That is a big fight. And it's not just a big fight. It's going to be a big fight that's potentially on a Mexican holiday, the holiday that Floyd Mayweather, campaigned at, the Mexican holiday, and then Cinco de Mayo. So do you think he would come back and compete with that fight with another big name or just another name? Do you think he would come?
I don't think he could.
No, I don't think he could.
Do you think he would try?
I don't think he could. Who's he going to fight that would – because here's the thing about Canelo Golovkin, which I don't think is going to happen until next year, but it will happen next May, I believe. But that fight is not only a huge, huge matchup that boxing diehards want, it's actually going to be a good fight. It's going to be the antithesis of Mayweather-Pacquiao because they're going to be doing it at the right time. And Floyd knows he can't compete with that, especially with Danny Garcia.
Well, that's the question I was going to say that Floyd threw out there. What does everybody think? What's a better fight, Garcia Mayweather or Khan Canelo?
Khan Canelo, easy. Khan Canelo will at least have a higher chance at ending in a knockout. I don't think Mayweather Garcia has a chance at ending in a knockout.
That is actually my same criteria for a good fight. I agree. It's probably going to end in a knockout, but it's also a chess match, and you kind of root for the guy that's underpowered. Even if he is for some people Amir Khan. I like Amir, but some people just can't stand him. But he's never in a bad fight, and when he does get stopped, it's usually because the fight was good. So Brady Prescott, it wasn't really much of a fight, but I think Garcia versus Mayweather.
It's predictable.
Because it's predictable, and simply because of the fact that they didn't get the rehydration, or they got the rehydration clause, right? Khan kind of got some of the stuff he wanted, I believe. Or did he not get the rehydration?
He didn't.
clause?
He did not get the rehydration clause.
He did not.
Oh, well, then never mind. Then it is the same situation where Garcia is going to have to capitulate to everything Floyd wants as well in order to get the fight. So on that level, it's even. I'd still go Khan.
But Khan will make more than Garcia.
Yeah, that's very true.
What, $8 million, I think?
Yeah.
I mean, I think.
Well, he has the rights though for the UK, pay-per-view, or, whatever they do out there. He has the rights there, so he's making a good chunk of change.
Bank.
You know?
He's going to make over
bank.
$10 million by the time he gets the upside from the international money and everything. And Floyd does not pay his opponents that much. He hated having to pay, you know, when he fought guys like Cotto and Pacquiao because he had to pay them more. But generally, Floyd is paying like 10% of the overall purse, if that, to the opponent.
Like,
right.
what if I think Canelo got like what, 5 million, 6 million. Berto got 4 million, I believe. I mean, it's not that much.
I think Berto got 3, right? Didn't he get 3? I thought it was 3. But you might be right. It might be 4.
Around in that range. But back to Canelo Khan and Garcia Mayweather. I mean, like we could say Canelo Khan. I think Canelo Khan is definitely the more intriguing matchup. With Mayweather Garcia, I mean, I just at Garcia, and I just don't see anything that Mayweather's not better at. And I mean, Garcia's a great fighter, but Mayweather's just like on that other level. Like he is A++ level fighter. And for Canelo Khan, at least we know that Canelo has shown issues with people who move. And Khan, he's extremely mobile. So I think it's a more intriguing matchup. Plus,
I think
like
both
I said
fights.
before, no, go ahead.
I think both fights are easy to dissect and criticize. I mean, when you say Floyd is an AA+ fighter, I think AA+ fighter and maneuvering what he wants so that he could be in that position. And you could definitely do that with Garcia. I mean, how do you sell that fight? I mean, that's a tough sell. And what we've seen from Floyd Mayweather, you know, the Money Team promotional group, is they don't know how to sell a fight. They solely depend on the name Floyd to draw an attraction. The question is going to be, Garcia didn't look that great against a guy that Floyd outboxed ridiculously over.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? The only thing that Garcia probably on these line judges, because Garcia's had so many gift decisions. That's the only story that I see panning out in a fight between those two. And of course the fact the O, right? The O, you know, who loses the O?
Exactly.
Two undefeated fighters.
Yeah. They'll sell it
like,
as a fight.
It's also about the fathers. It's going to be about the fighters' fathers.
What's that?
They're going to make it about the fighters' fathers. It's going to be Danny's crazy dad against Floyd's crazy dad, and that's going to be the show on the All Access or whatever on Showtime.
Dude, that's so
and that's how they're
played out already. You know what I mean? I'm so tired of seeing
Maybe
that.
it'll be Floyd looking for a new trainer. It'll be, you know, or Rod Salka and Amir Khan highlight reel knockouts enough to sell Danny as a dangerous guy.
Yeah.
Certainly not going to be the Herrera fight. It may not even be the Peterson fight.
What do you think? What fight do you think would make more pay-per-view buys? Mayweather Garcia or Canelo Khan?
That's a good question. I mean, I don't know what Khan's value is, you know, at that level. Do people believe he can do it? We've had a UK caller on the next round say it's not exactly, his chances aren't exactly lighting people on fire in the UK.
Yeah.
But that's, you know, that's one caller, you know. I haven't really talked to my media friends over there about the fight just yet. But I would tend to think that Floyd going for 50 against a viable, undefeated, you know, young guy it would be enough to do better. But I could be wrong.
It's crazy because these are two guys, Khan and Garcia, we're talking about, that have not done anything at 147.
Yeah.
I mean, one guy hasn't
People
done nothing
like the
for
number
middleweight.
50.
Right.
You know, I noticed they just had the Super Bowl here. Well, it was in Santa Clara, but it might as well have been here. And people that didn't have a dog in the hunt, Super Bowl wise, they just bought the SB50 shirt. They just wanted to be a part of the thing. I think the 50, if it was like any other number, maybe they wouldn't. But it was a cool design, and I don't know. I think 50 would do better than.
That's how they're going to market it. And then Floyd's going to make it. He's already making these comparisons to Rocky Marciano, which is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Two completely different areas. The Rock was a heavyweight. He fought in a much different era of boxing. The comparison is so stupid, but it's a way for Floyd because Marciano is seen as this establishment. The boxing establishment loves Rocky Marciano, right? And he's seen as this all-time great champion. It's a way for Floyd, again, to make it an us versus them thing as far as the marketing, because he's going to be like, look, I'm going to overtake the great Rocky Marciano, the guy, the establishment. I'm going to take him down. And I think that's how he's going to promote this fight. It's us versus them, and that's just what he's good at doing, and his followers will believe it.
What were you saying, Gabe?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think I agree with that. I mean, it's Floyd's. I can't knock him for being a good promoter. I think 50 and for greatness. Marciano, should he be glorified? I think people kind of over glorify him. He's classic. People like him because he could take a beating, he could deliver punishment, but he was also kind of one of those vulnerable guys. But his reign wasn't exactly a reign. He doesn't have a hell of a lot of defenses. He could tear apart the record. 49 is what it is. Sven Otke, why isn't he chasing Sven Otke? Doesn't he have the same record? Right. Joe Calzaghe. I mean, there is something about, crossing that threshold. Crossing into 40, into 41 wins. It's also a threshold. I think Tito, he lost to Hopkins at that mark. So I think, I don't know. It is what it is as far as history. We can never measure. That's what, I guess, pound for pound, that's why it exists. It's probably the only good reason it exists.
I think.
Yeah, it was, man.
Overall, I think most would agree that boxing fans would be pretty disappointed if Floyd came back to fight Garcia for his 50th fight. Casual-wise, I don't think it would draw much interest. Less than Guerrero, I would say. I think, for me personally, the only fight that I would want Mayweather to come back for is Golovkin, obviously, at 154 pounds. Maybe Canelo at a higher weight where he's not as green and he's not strained. Maybe. I want to see him
against Timothy Bradley. If he was to make a comeback and Timothy is successful over Pacquiao, that's the fight that I think should be made. If it's going to be your 50th fight, give it to Timothy Bradley.
One of the most underrated welterweights right now, and his resume, I mean, I thought I saw this on Twitter today. Who has a better resume than Timothy Bradley right now, besides, obvious choices like Pacquiao? I mean, Bradley is top, and yet we've never heard his name in discussion with Floyd Mayweather.
Never.
That's true.
I brought that up.
That's a future article title right there.
I brought that up about I think a year ago, that how Bradley, if the word deserving is kind of loose, we don't like using that word, but if you look at Timothy Bradley's career and everything he's had to jump over and face, Amir Khan didn't happen because there was promotional contracts that needed to be broken. He wanted to break away from Gary Shaw. It wasn't that he didn't want to fight Amir, but he knew that he fought Amir. He was obligated to stay with Gary Shaw for another 3 fight deals, and he did not want that. But look at the overall of this guy's career. The word deserve is right there for him. He deserves to face this Floyd Mayweather. Think about this. Floyd doesn't even bring him up in talks. Doesn't even mention his name, let alone the media people that are getting a chance to interview him. Don't ever bring up Timothy Bradley's name. When Timothy Bradley has proven time and time again, he's a competitor. He's going to show up to fight.
Since 2011, probably, or 2012, I mean, Timothy Bradley has been top. He won against Pacquiao in that controversial decision, went on to beat Marquez, then the huge slugfest with Ruslan Provodnikov, come back to fight Pacquiao again. I mean, he's the top dog. Through all those years, Mayweather has never been mentioned once as a possible opponent for him. Yet if you go on and you look at the welterweight rankings, I mean, Timothy Bradley is at the top, and he's not just been at the top for a little while. He's been on the top for years. I have no idea why.
He's not mentioned by anybody. Think about it. He's not mentioned by Amir Khan. He's not mentioned by Canelo. He's not mentioned by Garcia. This guy is the lone wolf McQuaid out there, right? In boxing,
wow,
it's crazy.
Lone wolf McQuaid.
I just brought in the 80s. My bad. I just showed my age. I'm sorry.
Wow.
Anyways, guys, I want to go ahead, Gabe. What were you gonna say?
No, just it's a great call. No, it's spot on the money. Why doesn't anybody call out Tim Bradley? It's kind of crazy. Tiny Hagler.
Yeah, timing.
It's hard to look
good. Yeah.
It's hard to look good against Timothy Bradley. No, even if you beat him, and only Pacquiao, and I believe Pacquiao beat him twice, but I mean Pacquiao was the only guy who decisively beat him, and he didn't look great in either of those fights. It's hard to beat Tim Bradley. He's such a competitor, and he's just the kind of guy that Floyd doesn't like to fight. He's the kind of style, and more than anything physical, it's the mentality that Bradley brings into the ring. He's not going to let Floyd bully him. The tactics of holding and hitting, pushing down, using the forearms, all the things Floyd does, Timothy will get nasty. He'll headbutt. He'll do what he's got to do in there. He's a little pit bull, and Floyd sees that. He says he doesn't watch fighters. He's full of shit. He does. and it's nobody wants to fight this guy. So the guys who have gotten in the ring with Bradley, they do deserve credit for that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, this is a guy that not only is a pet bull, but he's smart. He knows how to adjust. You know, we're yet to see how well he does with Teddy Atlas, because I still saw the old Timothy Bradley when he got in there with Brandon Rose. So there's going to be some more telling to the story, some more stuff added. Does Atlas bring more to the table, or we're going to see cruise control from Tim Bradley? Obviously, we're going to have to save that for next week's show to continue this conversation, guys. I want to thank you guys for coming on the show. Had a great time. It was a lot of fun, and I think a lot of stuff was dropped here, and a lot of stuff we could take away.